Are you overwhelmed by all the new tools showing up every week, struggling to keep up with what your favorite YouTubers are using? Well, I've created this n8n automation that builds a real-time list of all of the tools they mention in these YouTube videos. You can stay ahead without getting the burnout, keeping up with all the new apps, APIs, and services. For example, this is an AI avatar of me. This entire intro was generated using AI automation, and I didn't have to lift a finger to create this intro. If you'd like to see more on how I did this, be sure to check out my school community. I have the link in the description of this video. What's up, guys? In today's step-by-step tutorial, we're going to be running through this automation right here, this workflow. We'll take all the videos in my YouTube watch list. Now, I have this other automation that actually creates a YouTube watch list. It builds everything out in an Airtable base, so I have this nice watch list to keep up with from all my favorite creators like Nate Herc, Nick Sarev, Stephen Pope. You can see I have 117 videos that I still need to watch. This Airtable base will organize everything based on these views. If you want to follow this step-by-step tutorial, I'll put the link up here to follow that tutorial to build out this Airtable base and the YouTube VPH automation. What we're doing today is this one. This one is an expansion. We're going to be using this workflow to gather all of those videos, transcribe every one of the videos in my watch list, and analyze all of the unique tools, services, and APIs that are being talked about, that are being mentioned. This is the perfect automation to be able to keep up with all the new things coming out. I'm using this daily already just to keep up with all the new tools, everything we got to do as AI automators to stay relevant in the space. This automation will scrape your favorite creators, grab all of those tools, and dump them into a nice and organized list. I had to come back and insert this clip in here just to show all the new tools. I ran the finished workflow and got this final tools list from all of my 203 YouTube videos in my watch list here. Thought it was pretty cool to show my finished tools list here. In regard to sorting, I can come into my unknown tools list and I have a list of tools to take a look at and research further. So real quick, I have the link to my school community in the description of this video. If you want to jump over there, join my community, you can download both of these n8n workflows. You can download this entire Airtable system automation, and you'll have access to all of my other tools and resources, supplementary tutorials, and a wide range of AI assistant prompts that you can use to build whatever you want. All right, let's jump right into it. So the first node, I'm going to click the plus to create a new schedule node. I can type in schedule in the search bar. We want a schedule trigger. I'm going to set the trigger to every week. Sunday at midnight is fine. I'll click outside of this node, and yes, we can have multiple triggers in the same Canvas workspace. So I'm just going to keep this new workflow down here somewhere and start building it out from here. So first thing I want to do, most likely, let's grab the Airtable record. So I'm going to get the Airtable node here, click the plus, type in Airtable in the search bar. I'll find the Airtable node. What we want is to search records. Now, right away, I love using Airtable. I have a link to it in the description of this video if you want to check it out. But a lot of people have been asking me to build stuff in Google Sheets. I don't really like building stuff in Google Sheets because Airtable is awesome and it's way more valuable to me to use Airtable and build this stuff out. But please, in the comments, if you want me to build out automations specifically this one in Google Sheets, let me know in the comments. If I get enough people saying, let's build this one, let's, show me how to do this in Google Sheets, then I'm more than happy to build this entire automation, including this one, replacing all the Airtable nodes and using Google Sheets. So please let me know in the comments. Please comment that you want to see a Google Sheets build out. That gives me enough motivation, if I have enough people doing that, to actually go through with it and get that stuff built out, because obviously you guys want to see that. So for this demo, we're going to be using Airtable, and I'm going to be expanding my personal Airtable watch list here. So we'll keep at it for now. I'm going to double click into this Airtable node, choose my credential. Same thing here. You can jump into my school community, watch the tutorial on how to create a personal access token in n8n for Airtable. Otherwise, you can click this dropdown, click on create new credential. open the docs here and follow that documentation to set up your own Airtable credential in n8n. So I got my credential. I'm going to choose the base. It's my YouTube VPH base. And now I need a new table here. So I went ahead and created this digital tools list table in my base. So it's a very basic table. Similar, again, if you're hoping for that Google Sheets build out, very similar to Google Sheets, just creating different cells where we can input information, right? Super basic table, a name and a description. So I'm going to select that table, my digital tools list, and want to return all records. We'll just grab all of my records. And in fact, we need to actually grab those records. So we need the watch list. I'm gonna click on test step. This should get all of those videos over 117. Some of those are hidden in different fields. So 203 videos in that watch list. Coming back, I'm going to click outside of this node. We've got those 203 videos in my base ready to come down the chain. I'll click the plus to create a new node. Now we're going to jump into Rapid API. We're going to use an API to transcribe those videos. Cool. You can create a free account with Rapid API. Most of these APIs have a free plan. So to me, this tool completely replaces Appify in so many ways. I think it's a lot more streamlined. I think it's a lot better. And in most cases, you can use everything you need completely for free. So what we're going to do is find our YouTube transcription API. And I'm just up here in the search bar. I'm going to type in YouTube transcription. Now this will pop up with a bunch of different YouTube APIs. And you can see they're all by these different creators. I'm trying to find a high rated API over 9.5 or something like that, trying to sift through all these APIs, all these endpoints, all this stuff like that. But I think the one I'm using now is this one right here. So I've tried a couple of these, and this one right now, definitely one of the easiest ones to set up. So I'm going to grab this one, YouTube transcript by this creator right here. I'll click on that. And right away, you're going to get your Rapid API key right here. This is what you want to keep safe. I'm going to generate a new key for myself after this video. And then we've got the endpoints, the headers over here on this side. So the first thing we need to do to get this one working is come up here to this button. It's going to say something like subscribe to test or subscribe to use or something like that. When you hit that subscription button, it'll take you to a payment plan choice, right? You can choose the basic plan. It's going to be free and you can continue on from there. So what I'm going to do here is grab this URL information, basically just copy the curl right here, and we'll jump back into n8n. So in n8n, I'll click the plus. We need an HTTP node. Type in HTTP in the search bar, find that HTTP request node, then come up here to import curl. I'll paste that curl right there, click on import, and that should give us everything we need ready to go in this HTTP node. I've got the URL. The method is get query parameters and all of the header information right there. That looks good. I'm going to tweak this one a little bit. We need to dynamically get the video ID. So I'm going to switch to the schema view. I just prefer coming from make.com, looking at the schema. So we have the video ID right here. I'm going to delete out the value here for the video ID and drag and drop the video ID from this Airtable node right there. That will dynamically get each video ID from all of those 203 videos. Down at the bottom, I want to add an option. We'll say response, and for the response format, we'll set this to JSON. Cool. Now I don't want to run all 203 videos through this transcription tool. Definitely want to limit that. So I'm going to add a limiter in here just for testing. I'll click the plus, hover over this route, click the plus to create a new node, type in limit, find the limit node, and we'll say a maximum of, let's just say 3 videos for testing. We'll let 3 videos pass through and we can manipulate those 3 videos for this build. So I'm going to click on test step, get those 3 videos coming through the limiter. Now it's going to run all 203 items, but it's going to keep the first 3, right? That way we're not trying to transcribe all of those 203 videos. We've got the 3 videos we can work with. I'm going to click outside of this node. We've got those 3 items coming through, and I can click into this HTTP request node and click on test step. That'll actually transcribe those 3 videos. And we're getting a rate limit error here. So let's solve that right away. I'm going to click outside of the node, and what we can do is throw this into a loop. So the loop will essentially run in batches. That way we're not sending all 3 items or all 203 items right away. We're going to go one by one through the loop. So before the HTTP request node, I'm going to click the plus here to add a new node, type in loop. I'll have a batch size of 1. I'll click outside of this node. Now, using loops is a little bit tricky for some people. We need to think of it as this is the continuing path. This is what's looping, right? What's coming out of this loop. We can put in any number of nodes inside of the loop, and it's going to continue this many times, right? That's something to keep in mind. As we're looping, it's going to loop the number of times, the number of items going into the loop node. So for each item, it'll run through the loop and then process those items out when it is finished with the items, right? We need to add this HTTP request node inside of the loop. I'm just gonna trash all of these routes, and I'll trash this replace me node. It's just saying insert something here for the loop. So I'm gonna grab this loop route, plug it into the HTTP request node. Now I think I want to clean up some data here as well, just getting relevant data to come through. Let's go ahead and loop this. I'll grab the toggle handle and plug it into the back of the loop. I'll click the little play button right here to test the loop. That'll execute through there, and now we've got that data running from the loop into the HTTP request node again. I'll click into the HTTP request node, and we're getting the video ID here from the loop. That same JSON was mapped in here automatically just like that, but I think I want to scroll down in the input over here to the Airtable node, and we're gonna get the video ID from the Airtable node. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab everything from the Airtable node. That way we're getting that consistent data to come through. And we're gonna add a couple more things here. So I'm just gonna scroll down and check everything. We have our same headers from Rapid API. Everything looks good. We're gonna add a parameter. So this parameter, again, comes from Rapid API, just looking at the docs, figuring this stuff out. So this is a parameter for this API. It's called flat text. So I'm just gonna type that in there, and we'll set this to true. That way we'll get a nice flattened transcript. You'll see what I mean in a second. Let's go ahead and click test step. There we go. We've got the entire transcript coming through from that one video in the loop. So I'm going to click outside of the node. That is looping through just fine. But the reason we're doing this loop is to limit the number of API calls this is actually making. So we're going to add some wait nodes in here. Hover over this route, click the plus, type in wait. Let's find the wait node. And before this one, let's just wait 2 seconds before we dive into that HTTP node. I'll click outside of the node. I'll just rearrange my nodes here a little bit, clean this up. Now to keep the data coming from the Airtable node, keeping things looking smooth and clean as it loops and then comes out, we're gonna add another node after this. So over this route, I'll click the plus here, type in set for the edit fields node, find the edit fields node, and we're gonna map in some of these values here. So the first thing I want to get, we need the transcript, drop that in there just like that. For the next one, I'll scroll down again to the Airtable node, and let's grab the record ID. Drag and drop that in there like that. Great, I'll click on test step. There we go. So now we're attaching our record ID in Airtable to that transcript. I'll click outside of the node. Now, just to make sure the transcript is getting generated correctly from this API, I'm gonna add another wait node right here. Hover over this route, click the plus, type in wait, and here we'll wait 5 seconds just so that transcript can get generated fully in case anything is going on with that API call. So that looks pretty good for the loop. I'm gonna save the workflow. Now we're gonna test this entire route, meaning we're gonna get those 3 videos to go through the entire loop and get those transcripts coming through to test this one. I wanna click on test workflow, but first, I'm gonna scroll up here and make sure I deactivate this scheduled trigger just so that this one doesn't accidentally trigger for testing this second workflow here. So I'll deactivate that trigger just to make sure we're running down this one and click test workflow. Airtable is going to grab all the records. The limiter is only going to let 3 pass, and now 3 videos will get transcribed in the loop. There we go. Now coming out of the done route, we've got our 3 transcribed videos. So I'm going to click and drag the route handle here just to create a new node up above. I'll type in set to find the edit fields node again. I'll grab the record ID, drag and drop it down right there, and the transcript, drop it down right there. Cool, let's test the step. And we've got our 3 videos, the record ID, and the transcript. If I switch to the table view, you can scroll down and read the entire transcript for each of these videos. Just double check, here's the second one and the third one. So everything is working great. I'm gonna click outside of the node, Cool, so we've got our loop iterating through each of our videos. What I want to do now for testing the rest of the automation, I want to break this transcription section out of the testing. So we're going to pin the data inside of this edit fields node. I'm going to hover over this route, trash the route, double click back into this edit fields node, come up here to the pin, and we'll pin that data inside of the edit fields node. Click outside of the node. Now, if you don't know how pinning data works, this data is now saved in this node. So when we run the workflow, it's going to use that exact data to run down the rest of the chain. So I'm basically saving that data. We can test it down the rest of the chain and not have to run the data through the transcription API. That actually costs those API calls, and you're using up your monthly credits with that API. So we're gonna save the data here and just test with that pinned data. So for testing, let's add another node here. I'm gonna click the plus up here, create a new trigger. This will be trigger manually. Now, when we hit test workflow, it will run this data right here. Just to make sure that happens, I'll slide down and deactivate this schedule node. Now, every time we hit test, go ahead and hit that button. It's going to run that pinned data. I'll click save to save the workflow. Now, you might have noticed I renamed this node Get Transcripts. You can right click into the node, click rename, name it Get Transcripts. This edit fields node, I want to rename this one. Right click on it, click rename. Transcripts in the loop, rename. Right click on this edit fields node, rename it, and we'll call this one transcript plus ID. Click rename. Cool, so we're gonna move on down the chain here. I'll click the plus to create a new node. Gonna type in OpenAI. You can use any LLM for this operation. We're gonna have the LLM read these transcripts and extract some data. I'm gonna use OpenAI for this video. The node we need is message a model, and I'll choose my credential right here. I have the tutorial to set up your OpenAI credential with n8n. If you wanna jump into my school community, you can watch that tutorial over there, or drop this down, click on create new credential, and follow the docs right here to set up your OpenAI credential with n8n. From the model list, I'll drop this down. I'm gonna choose the 4.0 mini. That's all we really need for this operation. And we'll add in some prompts here. So this first prompt will be the role of the user. We're gonna send ChatGPT the transcript here. Drag and drop that in just like this. Now we're gonna add a message. The role for this message will be the assistant. And we'll add an assistant prompt here. I'm gonna grab this prompt from the school community. I'm gonna jump over to digital automation diagram. In the classroom, in the vault, we want this one right here in the AI assistant prompts section. So I've got a ton of AI assistant prompts in here. It's gonna be this one called tool extraction. Just a simple prompt to read the transcript and get any tool names and write the description of that tool name. So go ahead and copy this prompt right here. You can pause the video, type it out, or take a screenshot, drop the screenshot into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT write that prompt for you just like that. I'll copy this prompt, jump back into n8n, and paste the prompt right there. If you want to expand this prompt field, you can switch the mode to expression. Click on the expand icon here and see the entire prompt just like that. Now, I didn't realize this section right here got copied. I'm just gonna delete out these 3 words that was just left over from copying and pasting. There we go. I'm gonna click outside of the expression window and come down to output content as JSON. So it will follow this prompt and output the response in this JSON structure just like this. Let's click on test step. There we go. Let's switch back to the schema view over here. And we've got our nice tools list right here. Now, before we click outside of this node, I'm gonna click on settings. We're gonna add an error route. So under on error, drop this down. We'll say continue using error output. I'll click outside of the node. And while we're at it, let's do this same thing for this node right here, just in case some of these videos don't get transcribed. We can run them down an error route to handle those videos differently. So I'm gonna double click back into this get transcripts node before we forget. So let's come up to settings, under on error, drop this down, click on continue using error output, click outside of the node, and now we've got this error output right here. So for both of these, I'll click and drag the route handle, drop this down, let's type in do nothing in the search bar. We have this blank node that literally does nothing. So we're gonna drop this in just as a sort of container to see any videos that don't get transcribed will come down this route. They'll pop in here and just sit there. We can do something with them later on. Same thing over here. I'm going to add another do nothing node just in case these transcriptions don't actually get built out into the JSON structure. Just good practices for error handling. So I'm going to right click on this do nothing node, click on duplicate, and drop this one down right here. Grab the route handle, plug it in to the back, just like that. Cool. So let's move on with our success route. I'm gonna come up to save the workflow. Should always be saving often just in case. Let's click the plus, type in split. We'll find the split out node and we'll split out the tools array. Drag and drop that into the box right there. Click on test step. Now we've got 26 new tools, the name and the description split out and organized. Let's click outside of the node and let's move on down the chain. We'll click the plus to create a new node. This will be edit fields node. Type in set, find the edit fields node. This is just a sort of data clean up step. So I'll drag and drop the name from the split out node and the description from the split out node just to get that same stuff moving across. The reason I like to add these cleanup nodes is because we can use the edit fields node to extract just the relevant data that we need and pass it on down the chain. But we can also use it as a sort of save point. In case anything changes, you don't have to go and find the previous nodes that things were attached to. We have these sort of save points, these in-between points where the data is moving through. That way, if you're switching out either side of the edit fields node, things will still just be attached to the edit fields node and not have to find all these other nodes that you might have edited or changed. So we can definitely discuss my techniques and my suggestions on how to build out workflows, that kind of stuff. We talk a lot about that in the school community. If you'd like to join, we have our weekly discussions and it's definitely good bring up to discover best practices and new techniques. By the way, I'm just going to name this edit fields node to tools, rename it, and click outside of the node. That way we know we're getting all of our tools into this node right here. So I want to test this node. I'll click the little play button right here to test the node, save the workflow, and we're going to add a new node. Click the plus, type in Airtable. We're going to search our Airtable base. So I'll find the node to search records, choose your same credential, choose your base, choose the table. Now this is where we want to add in the new table. That one I added is called digital tools list. So we're going to search the digital tools list. This will be a sort of filter to say, do we have these tools already listed? If not, let's go ahead and add them. If the tools are listed, it will just move on and not create a duplicate of any tools in this list. Come up here to settings. This is just one get. So we don't want to run this 26 times from all of this data coming through. We want to just run this once to just check that list one time. So I'll set that to execute once, click outside of the node, rearrange these nodes a little bit. And now we'll create another sort of save point here. Click the plus, type in set, find the edit fields node. And now we're not going to have any data coming through because we have nothing in that list to manipulate. So I'm going to jump back over to the Airtable base, come into my digital tools list and just create some fake data right here, just so something will come through and we can work with it in n8n. So let's jump back into n8n, click outside of the node. I'll test the Airtable node again, click the little play button right here to test the step. Then when we jump back into this edit fields node, we have that fake data coming through. So I'm going to get the name, I'll drop that down in here, and the description, drop that down in there. So important distinction here. This is going to be our sort of save point. We can call this tools in database, rename it. The fields in this save point need to be named exactly what they are in the previous save point. So I'm just going to name these with lowercase letters, name and description. There we go. I'll click outside the node just to double check. We'll check our tools node and we have those names with lowercase letters. So important to name those the same. I'll test this step, click on the play button to test the node. And we've got that fake data coming through. Now we have our two save points, essentially something like this: the list of new tools and the list of tools we already have in the database. Now we're going to merge these two save points and basically check the data against itself to be able to add the new tools and not make any duplicates. So we're going to add a new node, click the plus, type in merge. This will be the merge node. For the mode, drop this down. We want to combine. For the fields to match, we're going to match on the name. This is why it's important to keep the same spelling, because we're matching those two names just like that in our save points. For the output type, we're going to keep non-matches. So anything that doesn't match from our database will get saved. Anything that does match will get destroyed. Next, drop this down. We want to just output data from the second input. Let's click on test step. And there we go, just the non-matches coming through. So already I can see some of this data is not quite qualified. So already I know I want to add some kind of qualification, probably a simple Google lookup for these tools, just to further filter what's going on here. So I'm going to click outside of the node, save my workflow, and I want to add a tool to this OpenAI node right here. So I'm going to click the plus to create a tool, type in SERP API. This is just very easy programmatic Google search tool. Now I need to create a credential with SERP API. I have the tutorial in my school community if you want to check out that one. Otherwise, click into the drop down, click on create new credential, and drop your API key right in there. So I'm going to choose my same credential, click outside of the node. Now we've got this SERP API Google lookup tool. I also want to adjust the prompt. I'll double click into the OpenAI node, expand out the prompt expression. So let's add that command in there to use SERP API to look up these tools. So let's see here, make sure to provide real tools. I'll type in here, use something pretty simple right here. Use the SERP API tool to search for that tool. Don't make up a tool name from the text. For each identified name, briefly research, write a short 1-sentence description. All right, let's give that a test. So I'm going to click outside the expression window, click outside the node. Let's test the workflow again. I'll go ahead and just save it one more time. Click on test. There we go. We're actually looking up all of those tools, doing a quick search. Just rearrange my nodes a bit while we're waiting. There we go. Let's check out the output real quick. And you can see it actually did some research on this made up word right here, which turns out to be the National Academy of Distinguished Neutrals. Interesting. Other than that, when it actually found the correct tools, it wrote a great description for each of these tools. So let's add a line to the prompt. Maybe right in here, let's add a new line that says, I'll go ahead and just drop down these lines so we can see them a bit better. If you discover that a name is not related to AI automation, or business workflow productivity, eliminate that tool or name from your output. Great. Now I'll have this fully tailored up prompt for you to copy and paste from the school community if you jump over there and actually grab this one from the classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, jump back over there and paste it in right here, just to update this prompt. Great. So let's jump back over here and give this one a test. I'll click on test step. Great. Now we're getting a much more qualified tools list here. I'm going to click outside of the node. Now we can finish this one off. We're getting all the information we need. I'm going to click and drag from this tools node, grab this route handle and plug it into input number 2. That way we can finish off our merge node and get all that new data coming down. So I'm going to test the merge node now. Come up to save the workflow. Click on the play button here to test this step. That'll run everything down this chain. And there we go. We've got our one item in the database, our fake data, and we've got 15 new items coming through, and those 15 items pass through. Cool. Let's move on down. I'm going to click the plus here to create a new node. Type in Airtable. Let's grab the Airtable node, and we want to create a record. I'm going to choose the same credential, choose the base, choose the table. Table is going to be the digital tools list, and we can send the name and description. I'm going to grab the name of the tool, drop that down there, and the description, drop that down right there. Click on test step, and now we should get all of our new tools back in Airtable. We'll jump over there just to watch these come through. There we go. Awesome. And it still looks like we have one transcription error right here. I'm going to just type in here, that is what is meant here. Even recording my YouTube videos and talking about n8n, I have to be very particular about editing my videos. That transcription gets messed up all the time. Looking at this list, I'll just delete my fake record. This list looks pretty good. I'm gonna jump back over to n8n, save my workflow. Let's slide back down and reconnect up our loop here. I'm gonna hover over this route, trash that route, double click into the edit fields node here, unpin it, click outside of the node and reconnect this done route from the loop node. Now, just to test out everything fully, see if we're getting that new data and our records are being checked in Airtable, I'm going to increase the limit right here on this node. Max items to 4. That'll pass in one more video to transcribe and send over to Airtable. So I'm going to click outside of the node. I'm going to make sure this schedule trigger is reactivated. If any data gets pinned inside of it, I'll double click into that and unpin it, click outside of the node and deactivate our manual test trigger node. Cool, that looks pretty good. Save the workflow one more time. Click on test workflow. This will run the entire workflow, make sure everything's working. Now we're gonna get 4 videos to pass through here. 3 of those are already transcribed. We have all those tools in our database already, so it should only pass the new tools from that 4th video into Airtable. Let's watch what happens. Great, we are researching all those tools now, and we are finished. We've got 15 new items in the database. I'll jump over there, see what we got. By the way, in Airtable, I came up here to sort everything in alphabetical order. So you can click the sort button here, sort by name, and add an A to Z sorting. That way we can see if there's any duplicates, and you can tell we already have some duplicates here. Just based on the spelling, ChatGPT didn't know how to handle this duplicate. So scrolling down, we did get a bunch of new tools: Stripe and Shopify, Telegram, Trello, Visual Studio Code, and looks like the same thing going on here with Zapier, just a spelling issue there. And this is interesting, n8n, like n8n. So we can expand this out and add some similarity checks to the automation. But guys, I think we're doing a great job. We have a great tools list to check out here. Obviously, just from those 4 videos, our tools list is roughly 28 items long. I have 203 videos in my watch list, so this list is going to build out super quickly once I run the whole thing. But that is it for this video. I'll jump back over to n8n and we'll slide down. The last step to finish this one off is to remove the limiter. I'll just right click on it and delete it. That is how we can extract new digital tools into an organized list from YouTube videos. Let's stay up to date on this stuff, keep building out cool stuff, help each other out, building out these automations. There it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Excellent job making it through this entire video. I'll have all the relevant links in the description of this video. You can check out all my links down there. I appreciate you being here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the school group, and I'll see you in the next video.